Hey Eurovision fans, it's time for my last Junior Eurovision analysis video of the season, and today I'm going to be talking about the Junior Eurovision 2023 final. I'm going to discuss the results, the placings of each country, and give you some juicy stats about what actually happened. And make sure that you stick around for the end of the video because I'm going to give you my thoughts on whether I think France will or will not host next year. So let's keep moving. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Tom. I'm an Irish Eurovision analyst, and you can find all of this stuff on my Eurovision channel. So before I get into the results, I'll tell you a little bit about my experience at the show. I thought it was an incredible production, really well put together. So this was my first Junior Eurovision I've been to. I've been to several adult ones. I can say that the production and standard of this was definitely on a par, if not better than some of the adult Eurovision. So I think if you want to experience Eurovision live, Junior Eurovision is a great way to do that. I know some people have a problem with the concept of adults going, but really the majority of the crowd were adults this year. The mosh pit was mostly Eurovision fans, but the actual seating crowd area that I was in was predominantly adults from Nice. Obviously a lot of them had kids with them, but there were quite a few people there who were just random people from Nice who wanted to see a show. I do think the majority of kids go to the jury show the day before because I just think it's easier for them to go to. There are also several hundred seats empty, so you're not stealing a seat from a child if you go. There were maybe between 500 and 1,000 seats that were still empty on the actual final. My entire row was empty. I was sitting right at the back. So let's first go through the overall results. And for me, the overwhelming thing here is that 6 of the top 7 songs are bops. This was definitely a final ranking which rewarded countries who understood the mission, tailoring songs to kids, making their entries really fun and vibrant and age appropriate, and really understanding the message of the contest. No surprise seeing the big names once again in the top 3. France, Armenia and Spain, the top 3 ranked countries in Junior Eurovision history of all time, taking up the top 3 spots. So these are countries who've consistently shown that they know what to do, they understand the contest and the message and what the kids at home want to see, and they bring forth a package that absolutely and utterly caters to that demographic. We can see this even more so when we look at the online vote. So I would include Germany to be a little bit of a bop. It's kind of like a ballad bop, a ballad with a beat. The top 7 songs with the televote, these are all upbeat bop songs, all 7 of them. And if you look at the bottom 9 songs, they're all ballads or slower tempo songs. And then you see Poland there in 8th, which is kind of, again, a ballad with a beat. So the ballad that had the most beat won the ballads, and then everything else at the top, all bop and beat songs. This totally fits in with what I saw in the arena. All the kids in the arena went crazy for the upbeat songs, and they just were not into the ballad songs at all, like 0% interest. I'm sure there were a couple, maybe the older kids who liked them, but generally there was very little interest in regards to the slower songs. Also, I have a lot of friends who've got young kids, a lot of people that I know on Twitter, again, saying the same thing. All the young kids love Ukraine, Netherlands, France. They love the upbeat, happy, dancey songs, and then zilch interest in the slower ones. So I think this is something that the Junior Eurovision delegations need to take into consideration, is that, there's this very clear pattern, not just this year, but in previous years as well, that the upbeat songs just do better. And we see this in children's TV shows where, you Barney and I don't know what all the hot TV shows are right now, but they've got dancey, boppy, fun beat songs. They're not like singing dark, deep ballad. Yeah, this is part of just getting Junior Eurovision and what the audience wants to see. I do understand that if you have a bop song, you kind of need to have dances. You don't have to, but the majority of the time you need a dancer on stage. Germany only had 1 dancer though, and that really worked. So just her and her dancer, and they had a fantastic relationship. Anytime the cameras went off, those 2 girls really were very friendly with each other. And I felt like that was a good thing for Fia from Germany, that she had that support of someone who was a real friend. Whereas if we look at all the songs at the bottom, these are all stagings where the person's on their own. So Ireland, North Macedonia, Malta, Estonia, all on their own. Italy was a duet. Albania, Portugal, on their own. So all the songs at the bottom on the stage on their own, mostly standing still, not moving, slower tempo ballad songs. So there's just this quite clear delineation, and I hope that a few more delegations take this into consideration next year and kind of just send something that's a little bit more age appropriate and fun. I still want to have a couple of ballads, but we've got almost half the songs being ballads this year. All of them are in the bottom half. So the winner was France. Deja vu. The third time in the last 4 years, France get Junior Eurovision more than anybody else. This for me is a very deserving winner. I said in my prediction video before, if I had to pick one country, it would be France. It's just excellent, very well thought out entry, very considerate and planned in who it's targeted as, being fun, accessible, amazing singer, great production. The dancers were fantastic, their dynamism, the standard of their choreography was excellent as well. Apparently France has been working with the same choreographer now for the 5 years, so they go to this lady every single year, and they've got like a bit of a deal that she's going to provide them with these very high quality dancers. Since France came back to the contest 6 years ago, they have never been outside the top 5. They've never been outside the top 6 ever in the contest. This new method formula that they have is just incredible. A little bit of that I think is Baba Pravi. I think she really introduced this idea of this very French fun song. She didn't write the song this year. My understanding is that she doesn't write the song when France are hosting. She writes it when they are going somewhere else. But I do feel like it was partially her and Igit as well, who she writes with sometimes. And every single year they've bought this fun, upbeat, party French song. It's very clever. It's very strategic. Nothing wrong with strategy in Eurovision as well. I think more countries should be bringing strategy, completing the task that's put in front of them. So that means France equal Georgia for the most wins. They have 3 wins, so do Georgia. But France has only been in the contest 7 times and Georgia's been in it 17. So I would give the edge to France there. They obviously have a higher average ranking, and they have the same amount of wins but in less contests. So for me, that's just that little bit more impressive. And France won by winning the jury and the televote. They were no lower than 6th place in any of the juries. So they were pretty much top 5 with every single jury apart from Georgia. And then they won the televote as well. So pretty resounding victory. I've seen some people coming up with conspiracy theories that France put themselves in the best running order draw. The draw was done by hand. I literally watched it. This would have won, I think, even from first. I think Spain showed that you can get a good result from the first place in the draw. It was just the best entry overall. Now the big question is, can France step up to this level in adult Eurovision? So this kind of safe, solid, upbeat bop pop disco feel that they have works really well in Junior Eurovision, but I think it's a bit too safe for adult Eurovision. So I think we had it a little bit this year with Évidemment, which I felt was kind of like an adult version of their Junior Eurovision formula. It did fine. It came 16th out of 37 countries. That's not bad. But yeah, getting up into those eyelashes, I do think you need something a little bit more dangerous and risky. I think that the French delegation will have to work out a different formula to succeed in the adult contest. Okay, so let's go to the runner-up in the contest, and that was Spain, getting their best result since 2005, where they also placed 2nd. And this was really impressive because Spain opened the show in the first running order slot. Myself and some others thinking that this was killing their potential to win, but I don't think so. I think that in the end, even if Spain had been in a better running order, I still think that they would have come 2nd. I just think the margin would have been a little bit closer. France in the end were 27 points ahead. I don't think Spain being later on in the running order would have made that big of a difference, because the televote is quite flattened. The way that you can vote for multiple people, similar to Melody Festival, it means that the votes are a little bit flatter, whereas in the jury you can have much bigger differences. For example, France getting, I think, 136 points. Yeah, 136 points with the jury, and Estonia getting 6, so that's a difference of 130. Whereas with the online vote, France getting 92 and Ireland getting 34, that's only a difference of 58. So you can see that the margins between first and last are much, much bigger with the jury. And that's why I think jury really is kind of like 2/3 of the result, really, because everyone's kind of much more squashed together in the televote. So really super impressive from Spain. I love that they've kind of dispelled that nobody could win from the first slot. This is the best result ever from a song that opened the show. The previous best result was 4th. So in the 21 contests that have happened, finally we've got someone opening the show in the top 3. That's really, really good for the contest. Again, the success comes down to really age appropriate, fantastic singer, super fun, imaginative staging, like this explorer girl traveling around the world in her kind of like old school, playing with the aviator goggles, going up into space, brilliant LEDs, super fun dancers with these colored suitcases, just so many clever decisions. Spanish delegation's doing really great recently. Since they came back in 2019, they've been in the top 3 times, and this result means they keep their place in the overall Junior Eurovision rankings of being third, but they are catching up with Armenia. They narrowed the gap a tiny bit. I really get the sense that Spain really wants to host a Eurovision. They've totally upped their game in both Junior Eurovision and adult Eurovision. I feel like they're improving, they're learning, they're evolving their brand within the contest. So I think for future Junior Eurovisions coming up, we've got to imagine that Spain are always going to be a contender. Okay, let's go to our third place finish. Young girls singing Do It My Way. So along with France, this was the only song that got jury points from every single country. Their lowest ranking was 9th place with Portugal. So again, very similar to France and Spain. They just get the contest. Armenia have never been outside the top 9. They are second in the all-time over rankings. Spain catching up with them. Just super fun entry. The costumes, the girl with the glasses, like the styling of all of them, bringing the dragon on stage. The crowd went absolutely crazy for it. Even though the dragon didn't end up doing that much. People didn't care. It was a dragon. It looked cool. I thought maybe they wanted it to breathe fire, but maybe they weren't allowed to do that. Crowd just went absolutely crazy for this. Kids just really love this type of like really fun boppy stuff with a nice cool dance that they can copy, doing the calling motion. Really, really clever. Again, just Armenia know what they're doing. Just not surprising that these three ended up being the top 3. And these were actually the top 3 I mentioned in my Who's Gonna Win video. You can get that vibe even when you're watching the rehearsals and the jury show that these are just people who really get it. There's like a real different feel when you're watching their staging, that they know what they're doing. They're salespeople and they understand their target and they're selling it to the target really efficiently. 4th place was the UK, Stand Unique singing Back to Life. Fantastic result. Really loved how cool and edgy this was. A little bit different as well, kind of skewing towards the older age of the demographics watching the show. This is the second top 5 result in a row for the UK since they came back. So they're 5th last year, 4th this year. They were actually leading at one point. I tweeted, let's stop the show, because the UK were top of the leaderboard. Really cool thing to see. This is definitely UK's renaissance. This new delegation really know what they're doing, and I love that they're switching between adult and junior Eurovision because they're building up their experience base, very similar to the French and Spanish delegations as well. So these delegations who are getting this double experience every year, working full time, building up these connections, they're really making the most of the situation that they're in. I'm not sure if the Armenian delegation is the same for each, but France definitely is, because it's Alexandra. I saw her at the press conference. She's the same person for adult and junior Eurovision. I think that's a really good strategy to have the two teams be the same. I know Ireland's team is different. We have a different team for adult and junior Eurovision, but that's because we have different broadcasters, RTE and TG Car. But back to the UK, this is definitely UK's renaissance, and I love as well that there is a young generation in the UK who are watching Eurovision going, whoa, we're awesome at Junior Eurovision. We definitely can do well. When we send something that looks cool, sounds cool, we get a result immediately. You know, I talked a bit in my What's Wrong with Ireland video about how the Irish and British populations, many of them have this thing that will never be able to succeed at Eurovision. That's being undone with this new British generation who are seeing first-hand evidence. Nope. That's going to be really, really good as this generation grows up, that they've got such a positive view of the contest. 5th place was Anastasia singing Kvitka. Super gorgeous staging, so cute. This was a real grower for me. I thought the staging was so clever that I told this cartoon story, this good girl against the bad guy. Very obvious what was going on. These super bright, big manga cartoon visuals. She had her magic wand. What kid under the age of 10 doesn't want a magic flower wand? Come on, so many clever decisions. We know that Ukraine are the most incredible stagers in Eurovision history. They've never not qualified in adult Eurovision, bringing the same level of artistry, thoughtfulness, passion, just beautiful imagery that they really excel at. So this was very well deserved, and again, a really age appropriate song. This is 5 songs in the top 5 that were super age appropriate. Definitely aimed more towards a kind of under 9. We know in Melody Festival, and we have that 3 to 9 year old vote, and we can always guess what they're going to pick. It's something like Kvitka. 100%, this definitely won the 3 to 9 vote, no doubt about it whatsoever. And then I think the reason it didn't win the televote is because of that 10 plus vote and the adults voting as well. But they ended up coming 3rd in the televote. Really, really well deserved top 5 placing from Ukraine. Super impressive. This is probably the most impressive jump up into a top 5 this year. I think the rest of them were kind of already kind of guaranteed top 5, whereas Kvitka kind of used the staging and the visuals and strategy to get up into that placing. Okay, another really great result was in 6th place from Poland, Maya, I Just Need a Friend. I'm gonna be honest, I thought this was gonna be down near the bottom, but when I was watching the dress rehearsal, afterwards I did a podcast with ESC Insight. I said to them that this was my biggest grower. I'd written it off a little bit, I'm going to be honest. I was kind of on my phone, and the actual rehearsal woke me up from kind of daydreaming because they'd done that little revamp, and it just gave it that little bit extra spunk. It gave it a beat that people were able to clap along and follow to. Again, a huge thing for the audience was when these songs came on with a beat, everyone got really into it, and then the slower ballad songs where there wasn't something to clap along to, the kids kind of tuned out. The adults were able to stick with it and kind of like were supporting. That's another thing that's really important, is you need the adults there to support the artists who are doing slower songs, because the children check out, and you need those Euro fans in the front to be giving energy and supporting and clapping, and that's what the adults were doing. So you do need adults in the audience. We also need them to be guardians for the kids, but as part of the supportive atmosphere, you need some older people there. But this is another great example of a delegation taking a song, which honestly I thought was going to be bottom 5, coming up with a plan B, how do we make this work, and getting it up to 6th. I don't think this is just Poland's diaspora voting for it, they're voting for themselves. I think this really did win people over. I was definitely won over. I thought the visuals looked really cool, they looked engaging, again that beat, the dancers were really lovely. I thought that they added a little bit of extra energy to it. I think this was the only slow tempo that had dancers? Yes, it was. So yeah, like I know that does come a little bit down to budget. Like some of these countries can afford to bring dancers, and Poland do have the budget, but I think if you're going to send a ballad, I think you've got to almost start budgeting it in now, that even if you're sending a ballad or a upbeat song, you got to budget in for at least one dancer. Germany showed that you only need one dancer. I also just think it's better for a support mechanism for the artist as well, that they have this person who's been with them from every single rehearsal. It's a friend who's going to support them. They have someone that when they're feeling nervous they can turn to, who's on the stage with them. It's just that connection, that other person that they can connect with. I think it makes a huge difference for these kids. But really great result for Poland. They have not been outside the top 11 since they returned to the contest in 2016. Okay, 7th place with Netherlands, Sepp and Jasmine singing Holding On To You. Yeah, I was a little disappointed this didn't get up higher, but I always said that was a little bit risky. And considering that Sepp had some issues, his voice was getting lower, absolutely no fault to him whatsoever. That is just the nature of humanity, not his fault at all. But yeah, that's a very difficult thing to manage, and I think they did it in the best way that they could. And he was really great in the press conference talking about how he's proud there being a boy. It is nice to have this representation of a boy in the contest. Netherlands coming 7th for the 2nd time in a row. Last year it was from 1st in the running order. This year it was from last in the running order. So 2 different ends of the spectrum, but the same result, 7th. I thought this was a fantastic package. Well done to Netherlands. They have been top 10 6 of the last 8 years. Okay, 8th place was Albania, Viola singing Bote Im. Really incredible result. This was probably one of my biggest surprises. I totally admit I did not think that Albania was going to be up in the top 10. They really pulled it off. If you asked me what was the deciding factor with this, it was her voice. So in the jury show and in the live performance, her voice was just, it was really exceptional. It was top notch. There were no flaws in it. It wasn't just that there were no mistakes, it sounded very easy. She wasn't showing off, but she kind of was showing off because she was just so good. So that was, I think, the deciding factor, because I think the song is fine. I don't think it's much stronger than, for example, Estonia and Ireland and Malta, for example. I just think that she kind of vocally won that mini battle between them all, and she got a lot of jury points. She ended up coming 5th. She got points from pretty much everybody because this vocal was so undeniable. So really impressive from Albania. This is their best result since 2015 when they came 5th. It's only their 2nd time in the top 10. They did it with a pretty low budget, just her on the stage in a cape. Really, really fantastic. So I'm very happy for Albania that they surprised a bit and ended up coming top 8. Okay, 9th place was Germany, Fia singing Ona Vota. First top 10 finish for Germany. It's only their 3rd time in the contest, but still, it's a 9th place. We'll take what we can get. I really feel like this is maybe the start of a renaissance for Germany. Lord of the Lost last year in adult Eurovision, it came last, but it still got huge community support. People really cared about it and it mobilized a lot of people. Same with Fia this year. A lot of people were really loving this online and being a huge supporter of her. For me, I want to see just a little bit more of it, but I think that Germany are getting onto something, sending stuff that's more German, feels more unique, more special, less like kind of super generic, very generic, bland stuff. So I want them to keep this up. I want their adult Eurovision entry in 2024 to keep up this streak because it excites me. And we know that Spain and UK are on a renaissance right now. I want Germany to get into a renaissance as well. France don't need a renaissance. They're already doing pretty good. And Italy definitely don't need any help in adult Eurovision. So we're almost there with the big five. I feel like we're turning a corner. Yeah, beautiful entry. Really deep meaning behind it. She did fantastic on the stage. I loved her little dance break. Really cute little girl. I love the main dance with Unavut and her hand coming out. So rounding up the top 10 was Malta, Yulan singing Stronger. Another song I just felt wasn't super age appropriate for the audience, but she really excelled with her vocals. She was 8th with the jury. Staging felt a little bit adult. I didn't realize that actually that backdrop that was on the screen was actually a live feed. I thought it was pre-recorded, but actually it was her live expression being really great emotion for her. She's super talented. I'd love to see her come back in the future for Malta. But yeah, Malta kind of in a slower period right now. They haven't been in the top 10 since 2018, just scraping into the top 10, but yeah, haven't been top 5 in a while. So do you think maybe they need to rethink about how they're approaching Junior Eurovision, because they're not as strong as they used to be? Okay, in 11th we had Italy with their 3rd 11th place in a row. Yeah, they just don't have the same superpower that they have in adult Eurovision. Obviously, adult Eurovision, their song comes through the San Remo Festival, which is like the top tier of Italian music. And in Junior Eurovision, they just haven't found that kind of like recipe formula about how they choose their song. For example, France gets their artists from The Voice Kids. Italy, I think, also chose these two were both from The Voice Kids as well, but maybe the songwriting element just isn't there yet. I thought the girl on the piano, sorry, I can't remember her name, Reina is one of them, and is it Melissa? Yeah, it was Melissa. Melissa's voice is really, really special. She's a talent for the future. I love that deep, gravelly voice. It sounds fantastic, and she can play the piano. They had fantastic chemistry on stage, really, really like properly, very friendly. That's also another thing I didn't say about the UK. Those girls are really tight. If you looked at them anytime there were no cameras on them, they are laughing, they're hanging out, they're hugging. They really properly liked each other, and everything that they said in the kind of interviews and stuff, I 100% believe. Whether they'll keep going or not, I don't know, but they're definitely friends for life. So I like that. I like seeing these like really positive relationships and interactions happening. Same with I saw Sophie Lennon and Viola from Albania dancing on the stage together at the end, so they were close as well. They're kind of like holding hands, doing a little dance. So I like seeing these new friendships develop. Okay, 12th place was North Macedonia. Tamara, really disappointed about this. In case you know, this was my second favorite song this year. Really loved it, but again, is it age appropriate? I don't know. I kind of wish that North Macedonia had kept this song for adult Eurovision, because I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Maybe just given it a little bit more revamp and sent it to adult Eurovision, assuming that they're going. We still haven't had confirmation yet. Tamara, amazing to be able to do all that on the stage. I was kind of trying to subtly signal to you all about how the staging looked a bit bare. I didn't want to say it before the contest, but you may have picked up on my euphemisms. She was on the stage and around. It was just a bit too much to ask. And I really think that she would have benefited from having those lovely dancers that Poland had. She only had 2 backdrops. She had the moon and then the garden. I think it should have transitioned more, or something should have happened. It was just a bit too bare bones. This is the 9th time that North Macedonia have come 12th. They've been in the contest 18 times and they've come 12th 9 times. So yeah, that's quite. Now obviously some of those 12s are different, because sometimes it's 12 out of 13 and sometimes it's 12 out of 20. So, you know, not all the 12ths are the same. Yeah, still, I was a little bit sad that this was just in the bottom 5, but I think that if you'd given this package to France and Spain, Poland and Armenia and said, okay, we've got a slower song, how do we deal with this? Those delegations would have been able to find a way to make it work. Again, they have a bigger budget. I absolutely know that. Like I'm saying, France have these connections with the dance school where they can just get dancers like that. North Macedonia don't have those resources. But I think ideas-wise as well, North Macedonia just need to think, okay, how can we make this work despite the fact that we don't have the same resources as the big 5. But still an absolutely gorgeous entry, beautiful song. Okay, 13th was Portugal. So they're still 4th last in the overall rankings. They've never been top 7. Still love that they're sending something very, very unique. The staging ended up being really pretty. Love that mauve against the emerald green tree. Really, really gorgeous. They keep up their own unique sound and they don't compromise, and that's a really great thing. Georgia in 14th, Anastasia and Renina. Now this is their worst result ever. They have come 14th before, but that was 14th out of 19. This is 14 out of 16. So a little bit disappointing with that, but they've been in 17 contests. So yeah, eventually you're going to have a bad result. They were 3rd last year and 4th the year before. So it's not like absolute disaster stations. I saw some people online saying they should withdraw because of this. You can't withdraw just because you got one bad result once. Someone has to be in the bottom 3. Just because someone's 16th out of 16, it doesn't mean they're bad. You can have a very strong year where being 16th of 16th still means you're very, very good, which is what happened this year. Similarly, you can take like the Maltese national final where you've got 36 songs. Just because you're first in the Maltese national final doesn't mean you're good. So that's just one of the things that happens with ordinal ranking. It's just the nature of it. A little bit disappointed for Georgia, but fantastic support in the arena. Georgians and Armenians were probably the biggest delegations in the stadium, and considering they're traveling from so far away, really impressive. Lots of friends and family supporting, and lots of young kids as well from those countries coming to support. So they really love Junior Eurovision, and it's great when they do well. Okay, 15th we had Arhana singing Hayamikokku. Great debut from Estonia, really, really pretty. They enter the all-time rankings in 38th. Great for them to learn about the contest, and I'm sure that they're going to come back next year, work with what they learned and develop even further. She was a little bit sick and that affected her vocals, so particularly in the jury show, which is where I think they were probably expecting to get the majority of their points. And then in last place, unfortunately, we had Jessica McKean and Sophie Lennon singing Ashling. So really, really sad about this. I think Jessica took it quite badly. I think she took it a little bit personally, which is understandable. It's very difficult to process something like this. But I thought they did a beautiful entry. They were lovely, gorgeous outfits. They sang very, very prettily. They did everything they could. You know, they have a job, they've got the song, they go out, they sing it. There's only so much they can do. I felt that they did it to the maximum ability. Possibly the song, again, just not really super age appropriate. Solace worked last year, but maybe it was just that bit of a magical ballad. I think if you're going to succeed with a ballad, it usually has to be very, very, very strong. But yeah, lovely representation of Irish language and culture. So I was very proud of this. You know, someone has to be last. Again, like I said, being 16th does not mean you're bad. It's just someone had to be last. Unfortunately, really high quality year, great performers. Who should have been last? Nobody. Okay, so that's what I thought about all 16 countries. Let's talk a little bit about who's going to host this next year. So it hasn't been confirmed yet whether France will host or not. My impression is that it will be an EBU decision. Some people saying, do France decide or do the EBU decide? I think they'll talk to each other. I think it'll be an agreement between them. France have hosted already twice in the last 3 years, so maybe they want to break from it. Next year is the Olympics, so France TV is already going to be very busy with that. It's at a different time of the year, but monetarily wise, they might have spent a lot of money on the Olympics. They may not want to also spend money on Junior Eurovision 5 months later. Also, maybe the EBU is thinking, okay, we want to spread this around a little bit. We don't want the same country hosting 3 times in 4 years. So I think they're going to talk to each other. The EBU is not going to want to piss off France too, because it's one of their main supporters. They love them in the contest. They're brilliant. So they're not going to want to annoy them, but I think it's going to be something they'll talk to about and compromise. I wouldn't be surprised if the EBU says, do you mind if we host somewhere else? And France says, actually, it's fine. We're busy next year. We don't mind going somewhere else. Who would that be? I think the obvious answer is Spain. Spain came second. They're a big 5 country. They've got a big budget. I'm getting the impression that Spain really wants to host. I think they would prefer to host adult Eurovision. Most countries would. But I think that they would take a Junior Eurovision in the meantime to kind of practice, like wean themselves in. I don't know if that's true or not. I saw some people saying that Spain has have like some financial issues with their TV station, but the overwhelming feeling I have is that Spain really wants to host. I'm getting that vibe big time. If you ask me now who's going to be hosting next year, I think it's 50-50 France or Spain. But either way, France did a fantastic contest this year. If they do host again, I'll be really happy to go because they just put on a spectacular show. One small problem I had was I think that they showed the girls too much long at the end. The split screen was way too long. I think almost just get rid of the split screen. Just announce the winner and then show the winner's reaction. So maybe like have the cameras ready on the 2 of them, but don't show it on the screen. Okay, that's what I thought about the Junior Eurovision 2023 final. What did you think? Any results that surprised you or made you happy? Did you have any growers? What did you think about the show? Let me know in the comments section down below. No new donations on Buy Me a Coffee, but thank you to Arlo K for supporting me on PayPal, and no new super thanks either. If you do want to donate to the channel, I'll leave links for you in the description. Anything that you do donate goes straight back into the channel. And as always, thank you so much to all of my amazing Patreons for supporting me on patreon.com, where you can see the copyright-free versions of my reaction videos, some early previews of videos, and also upcoming news about which videos I'm working on. So go check that out if you are a fan of the channel. But as always, thank you so much just for watching. And I hope to see you on another Junior Eurovision reaction video next year, because I'm back to full-time adult Eurovision now. See you then. Goodbye.